Welcome to the very first in an ongoing series of Python instructional videos. My name is Alma Frankenstein. I am a teacher, co-founder, and engineer at DataStack Academy, an online data engineering bootcamp. At DataStack Academy, we teach Python because it's a popular and beginner-friendly and easy-to-use programming language that also has a lot of open source libraries for anything you'd want to do with code. The first several lessons in this series will cover the material in DataStack Academy's 5-day Python challenge, which is a collection of online collab notebooks that you can get and go through yourself for free if you click the link in the description of this video below. Colab is a good choice for getting started with programming because you can run and edit code without having to install anything on your computer. In this lesson, we are going to start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. We are going to cover some basic Python data types like strings and lists. We're also going to talk about declaring variables in Python. So let's get started. A string in Python is a sequence of characters, like letters and numbers. It can include white space and punctuation, all enclosed in single or double quotes. Basically, a string, in the simplest terms, is a word or a sentence. Alright, so here are two examples of strings. The first one has upper and lowercase letters. It's got some numbers, some white space. The second one also includes punctuation. Also, note, this code block has comments. In Python, comments are just notes that you leave for yourself or other developers. They don't get compiled when you run the code. The way that you write a comment is with a hash, and then whatever you want your comment to be. So, note to self, this one includes letters and numbers. It's good practice, and my preference, to enclose your strings in double quotes instead of single quotes, because then if you are writing a sentence that includes an apostrophe, it doesn't get read as the end of the string. If, for instance, you enclose this in single quotes, you get this red squiggly underline error because Python thinks that this is the entire string up to the apostrophe, and it doesn't know what to do with the rest of this. However, if you enclose it in double quotes, the red squiggly line goes away. You can put in as many apostrophes as you want, and this whole thing will still be read as a string. So that's great. We've got some strings here. You can't do much with them like that. You want to declare a variable to hold it. A variable meaning a thing whose values can vary. The way that you declare a variable in Python is you write the name of the variable. So here, I name this variable day. No quotes. Note, it's not a string. It's a different beast. It's a variable. The day, an equal sign, and then whatever that variable contains, its value. It's Python convention, although it won't break your code if you don't follow it, to use lowercase letters in your variable declaration names. So if we run this so that the code is recognized, and then we want to see the value in day, there it is. It's Sunday. If we introduce a typo into our variable, for instance, rerun it again, Sunday with a typo is the new value of our variable. Our variables can be whatever we want them to be as far as data types go. So this one is a string. I declared a variable called num that contains a number. In Python, you can use decimals, you can use whole numbers. We want to see its value. Again, just like we did above, we run it, we can change it, and every time we call num, whatever the current value of it is what it'll be. You can think of variables like a post-it note that you use to label an object. An object in Python is whatever your data type is. So your list, your string, your number. I'm just putting this sticky note of num on it so that I can just refer to that name every time I want to get whatever this value is. These are simple and kind of useless examples, but as your code gets more complex, you will want to use variables so that you can refer to the same blocks of data over and over again throughout your code. So that's strings. That's a brief crash course in Python variables. Let's talk about lists. A list is an ordered and changeable collection of data. This will make more sense if we look at an example. Let's declare a variable to hold our list. I'm going to call this one Frankenlist because my last name is Frankenstein. No quotes. Equal sign, square brackets. There are several ways to declare a list in Python. The most straightforward beginner way is to just use square brackets, and whatever you want to be contained in the list, you put the value of the object and then a comma separating each of them. Our lists can contain anything. This list contains a string, conveniently called a string, a number, not in quotes, a variable that we declared above, up here. You know it's a variable and not a string because it's not in quotes. If we wanted it to be a string that's the word day, we can do that too, actually. You can also have duplicates in a list, and it won't give you a hard time. The last value in our list is another list. This is called nesting. Nesting can get very deep and confusing. This is just one level of nesting. So you see here, we have more square brackets. We have within our Frankenlist another list containing a string and a number. Python comes with a few built-in methods for examining and altering your lists. We're going to look at just two in this lesson. The first one we'll look at is len, short for length. If you want to know how many objects are in your list. So let's run this first so that it's registered. So we have 6. Another built-in method is append. You'll notice that the syntax is somewhat different between these two. We won't get into why at this moment, but you'll note that whereas the first one is the method and then the parentheses and the name of the list, when we're using append, it's the name of the list dot append, which just means add to the end of, and then within the parentheses of append we can put whatever we want to add to the end of our list. So I want to add the string meow to the end of the list. I did it. Let's check it out. There There it is. An important and sometimes confusing thing to note about Python lists is that they are zero indexed. The indexing is the position within the list of the object. Zero index means we start counting at 0 instead of at 1. So we would say the index position is 0, and then 1, and then 2. So if we have a list with 7 values in it, the index of the last value will be 6 because we started counting at 0. If we want to check out the value of a particular item in a list, we say the name of the list and then square brackets again, but this time the square brackets mean something else. We put the name of the list and square brackets, and within the square brackets we give the index of the item that we want. So if we say 0, we're going to get the first item, which is a string. If we say the name of the list and then within square brackets 1, we're going to get the second item because we're starting to count from 0. So that's our number, 64. If you want not a single item from a list, but a subsection of the items, you can use a slice. Similar, it's the name of the list and then square brackets, but this time instead of a single index, we're going to put our start index. So here I just decided we're starting at 0, which is our first value. And then there's a colon. And then the index that we want to slice right before. So it won't include this one. So index 3 is the 4th item in our list. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the word day. So if we want the first 3 items, we want to slice right before the item with the index 3, which is our 4th item. Check it out. Okay, so this is exclusive. It does not include this index. Another cool trick if you are trying to extract values from a list is that they can be negative indexed, meaning we start counting from the back. They start with -1, not -0. That doesn't make any sense. So if you want to start counting from the back of the list, you say -1, this should give us meow. You could say, I want the second to last item should be -2, which should give us our other list, which it does, indeed. Slicing with exclusive index values, 0 indexing, these can be confusing at first. Just keep practicing. You'll get the hang of it. That's a very brief and gentle introduction to some Python basics. Thank you for joining me. If you like, you can subscribe to our forthcoming weekly Friday Python challenges. We're calling it FryPy. There's a link below. Also check out our website if you'd like more information, datastackacademy.com. We'll have another tutorial video coming up soon, so stay tuned.